with all due respect.
Hey, we're Josh Ortegon and Greg Gaines, and this is With All Due Respect, the show where we keep it real about health, fitness, and performance. From weight loss to sports development, we're covering the conversations that matter.
Follow us on Instagram at Phenom Fitness, PHNM Fitness, and visit www.phenomfit.com to check out our training programs, coaching, and gear built for real results. Let's get into it.
All right, guys, we're With All Due Respect somewhere in the 90s, I think, like 93 or something like that. I always think we have a lot of podcasts, and then I see someone pop up and they're like, oh, episode 2100. I'm like, oh my God. Like episode 93 feels like a ton for me. But I'm really excited to get today Kristy Baumann, and we're going to talk about long distance nutrition, marathon nutrition specifically. We were chatting before this, Gray, and we're chatting. I go, I know nothing. If somebody came to me, I would be lying to them if I told them I could prepare them to run or break records in marathons. And Kristy, I see some of your content, and you're like, hey, how can I take 8 minutes off your marathon with just nutrition? I'm like, holy cow, 8 minutes off a marathon with just nutrition sounds incredible. And then I realize how long they run. And then I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Just for a little bit of context, I did grow up with a marathon running father, competitive. My dad ran a 2:45 Boston.
Nice.
At like 40 years old, right?
Yeah.
And ran it all the time, and he always said my dad's famous quote to people that would run, he had a marathon group he ran with, he's ran like 25. He always said the Boston Marathon is halfway at mile 21 because isn't there the hill? Is there a hill or something they call like Heartbreak Hill or something? So my dad was like, 21 miles at the Boston is halfway, and the next five is like the second half. But I grew up with a dad that ran marathons, and nutrition was fruits and vegetables and got a carb load, right? That's 25 years ago, right? I'm very curious to hear about marathon, long distance running nutrition, but then your story. Can you kind of give us some background on your story? This doesn't sound like it's something you just jump into and all of a sudden you're doing it. Like you had to have a major career somewhere in long distance running before you got into the nutrition side of it.
Right. Yeah. So I ran in junior high and high school, cross country and track, focused on long distance. The funny thing is, my senior year of high school, I was like, I'm never running competitively again. Like, I don't really like it. And I feel like this story happens quite a bit with runners where I don't know if it's a love-hate relationship or you don't necessarily always really like it. But then I actually went to college with a band scholarship, a music scholarship. And then I have a sister who's 6 years older and always looked up to her and liked to do everything that she did. So sophomore year of college, I decided to join the cross country team because I would see them run by. I'm like, oh, that looks like fun. I want to be a part of the team. And then I actually got in shape and actually took time to train. And it was actually starting to become enjoyable after you got past the point of I don't know, being out of shape or just the consistency of it. And then from there, signed up for my first half marathon after college, and my sister's like, oh, do you want to run a marathon with me? I'm like, sure, I guess so. Not even really knowing what I was signing up for. And then since now, I've ran 14 marathons and numerous half marathons and have turned it into my career. I've always definitely been interested in sports nutrition and how much it can impact your performance, but I never knew it could help you that much as now I've experienced. Because even when I started out running or training for marathons, I was doing a lot of things wrong.
What were the things that you were doing wrong? What would you say they were?
Wrong?
Because I would agree with you there. I think it takes a lot of maturity in your sport or your activity to understand that nutrition plays a huge role.
Yeah. Yes. Always the mentality of oh, If you're thinner, if you're lighter weight, you can run faster. If you run fasted, your body will be able to use more fat stores as a source of energy, which is not true. The idea of carb loading, thinking that like, oh yeah, we carb loaded in high school before a 5K race, but I thought that was just eating a big pasta dinner the night before your race. And carb loading for a half or a full marathon is primarily eating carbs for a specific amount based on your weight for 2 to 3 days before your race.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did
Uh,
not know that. So
yeah,
carb loading, well, I guess that comes down to glycogen stores and how long those glycogen stores are stored, right?
correct.
So if you're running a marathon on a Saturday, you'll carb load Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like
3 days before, so, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
And how do you determine how much you eat based on your weight?
So there's a calculation. There's different ways that you can do it, like where you can eat a lot of carbs, but, basically I usually do 8 grams of carbs per kilogram of body weight
Okay.
for 3 days.
Okay. So when you do that, and this is just where my brain, do you keep fats low during that time? Do you keep fats pretty low, just low, just to, you don't want it to slow digestion.
Correct.
You want your
Low
carbohydrates to be
fiber,
low fiber, low fat.
low
Okay.
fiber, low protein because protein fills you up,
Okay.
and then it can displace or you're yeah, displacing those carbs that you need to eat. Um,
What
so
how
And
it's like
good.
opposite nutrition, uh, here, 'cause you're eating like, you can eat candy, like sugary candy, drink juice. Juice is really helpful. Eating the
Mm,
white bread, white rice.
mm.
do you break it down for your runners, around nutrient timing or maybe like, I want you to have complex carbs here and maybe simple carbs here and liquid carbs there. Like I know a huge help for me a lot of the time is doing like an intra workout liquid carb. If I'm doing like a longer distance thing or a longer intensity thing, do you break it down that way?
Yeah, yeah. So definitely breaking it down of like when do you want those simple carbs and when do you want to eat those more complex carbs that have fiber in. Uh that that timing of it is crucial because, for example, one time I had a runner, she came to me with GI issues. We looked at what she was eating. She was eating lentil pasta the night before her long run.
My gosh.
And,
Yes.
it's healthy. It's great. It has protein, it has fiber in it, but the night before a long run, it's likely gonna cause you running to the nearest bathroom.
Yeah. Because that's a ton of that loaded with fiber. Yeah. Um, you mentioned something earlier in passing that when you first started, um, before you really ran the marathon, it took you some time to like kind of get in shape and feel good and actually enjoy it.
Yes.
How long did that take?
A solid well, so going into cross country my sophomore year, I had some background with training during a track season or cross country season, and progressively during those seasons, I would hit PR after PR because I was actually getting in shape. But I knew going into that year, that season, I had to train consistently for 3 months in order
Okay.
to be at a spot where I could keep up with the team or, like, feel good. So it was, like, consistent 3 months of, like, yeah, running 5 days a week.
So I'm doing the math because I'm curious. Can I ask you? Can you tell me how much you weigh?
125
Okay. So 125 divided 2.2 times 8. So you're doing 450 carbs a day
for a carb load.
for a carb load for 4 days, for 3 days. Holy
Holy.
cow.
Yep. But
You,
some runners might need that even if they're running 50 miles a week.
a day?
A day. Yeah,
Oh,
if
man.
you're running
How
50 miles.
creative do you have to be to go 400? 454 is a big number for a 125-pound girl, right? The highest I've ever done was 500 carbs a day. And I felt like I was just like, we're getting down to like, and I was doing low fat. Like I did like a carb cycling just to do it. I was just kind of seeing what it was like. and my high days were like 500, and I'm like, I don't know how many low fat Eggo waffles with jelly I can eat on this to get to 5. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're just like, where does this come from? You're looking at like low fat pancake mix with jelly. I mean, 454. I would love to follow you around for 3 days and see 125 pounds find 450 carbs a day.
Yeah.
It's a ton.
That
But I
is
had a
incredible. I'm
Hear
so
that.
happy for you too. I'm like, I'm happy for you. Like, you know, because that's all.
Let me
That's
put it in
incredible.
this perspective. Okay, if you calculate that by 4 calories per gram of
It's 2,000
carb,
easy. It's 2,000. It's 2,000
I think
calories of
it's
carbs.
under 2,000 or right around
1,800. It's
2,000.
1,800. It's
1,800.
18. It's
Which
1,800 calories of carbs.
Yep, which you're gonna need more than that as a runner.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's why we cut back on protein, we cut back on fat, because you'll find if you just eat solely simple carbs, you get hungry very quickly.
Yeah, in
Right.
and out, in and out through the
Right.
body. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm eating Pop-Tarts, I'm drinking like those
Good for
fruit
you. I'm
bottles,
so
I'm making
excited for you.
juices.
I'm so
Um,
happy for. I'm sitting here. I'm like, ooh, Pop-Tart. Like, I might start. I'm not gonna lie. I might start
You
doing
have to start
running.
running. Yeah, you
I
just have
might
to start
start running
running.
now, Liz. Like, I might, Gray. I might start running. Like, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible. Because when you were telling me 8, I'm like, well, I started doing some of the math in my head. I got to be honest with you. I would like to know the number of people who are competitive trying to, and when I say competitive, I usually mean like competitive running against themselves,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Because I feel like running is one of those things where if you say you're competitive against yourself every race, not those people, those crazy people going out there running 2:11s,
Right.
right? Because I see that on TV, right? You see that and then you start doing the math and you're like, those are like 5:20 splits.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do anything in 5 minutes and 20 seconds. I couldn't get from here to my fridge in 5 minutes and 22 seconds. Like, I would sit here for 5 minutes and 22 seconds before I went outside my back door right now, right? Like, and then you start doing that math. I'm like, oh, that's a crazy person. That's a genetic freak running those marathon splits.
Mhm.
But how many people come to you? Because I love the niche the niche you're working with. How many people come to you out of 10 and they're grossly under eating?
10.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Roughly underneath. There's like ways you can optimize it so much in your fueling during a run, a long run, in the carb loading, and on a day-to-day, like, you know, there's so many different factors that usually
Okay.
there's some form of under fueling or in the
Somewhere.
like
Yeah.
you're not optimizing your nutrition or hydration in that.
Yeah,
in that matter.
somewhere in there. Now, do marathon runners eat during? Will you have will you like if someone's yeah, you guys are
You
Gray's like,
have
yeah,
to.
of course, dummy. Gray's like, of course they
You
ain't
have
dummy.
to.
But like, can you talk a little bit about intra race nutrition?
Yeah. So, kind of going back to what I used to do when I first started out, I thought like, yeah, I feel fine. I can take 2 gels during a 3.5 hour marathon, and I'll suffer through it, but that's what it's supposed to be like, right? When in reality, now I'm having people. We work up toward taking 2 gels every hour plus more carbs through a sports drink. So we're aiming for at least 60 grams of carbs per hour. Um, that's half of the equation if you've heard of people hitting the wall in a
Mhm.
marathon. Half
Mhm.
of the equation is fueling enough during it because your muscles are constantly using these carbs that you're taking in. The other half of the equation is that carb loading that I talked
Mhm.
about because you have to stock those glycogen stores as well
And I
beforehand.
think that's what a lot of people, maybe not they don't realize is that it is such a huge energy commitment for you to run that many miles. Like, you don't stop for the whole entire time that you're going. If you're going to stop and walk, you're still walking, like you're still moving. And so that's kind of where this inspiration, I guess, for the podcast came from. Is I told Josh, I was like, I have a ton of friends that are getting into running, and he was like, you're a freak. I don't know who you're hanging out with. Who the hell is getting
Get new
into
friends.
running?
Get new friends. Yeah.
But just
Yeah.
it's very common now. A lot of people will, they'll make a goal of running a marathon on, some kind of bucket list that they have. And granted, a lot of people are like a one and done. They're like, I don't care. I'm just going to go and do it. That's kind of how I was when I did mine. I was like, I don't care. I'm just going to go. then they might get hooked to it and they're like, okay, well, I want to keep doing this or I want to keep finding it. But then they realize, okay, nutrition is a huge piece of this. I thought it would be obviously fun to come on and talk about this and
Yes.
figure out the ins and outs of it and just what it really takes to be moving for that long.
Right.
What kind of reactions do you get from, say, it's a competitive one that comes to you and they say, "Hey, show me what my carb load looks like." And you go to another 125-pound girl and go, "You need 454 carbs a day." I would love to be a fly on the wall in like maybe a meeting with somebody and they say that to them and then you show them what it looks like and they go, "Well, it's not even possible."
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what to begin. Like, I don't even know where to start, right?
Yeah.
Do you throw that number, and I'm just using you as an example. Would you when you look at people, I'm sure you look at their diet, like they send you a food log, and you kind of see what they're doing now and what they're doing. Are there some people you're like, man, if I throw 450 at them right now, they're gonna run. They're gonna leave me. They're never gonna. They're done. They won't start there because they're eating maybe 125 carbs a day right now at the
Yeah. Yeah.
most. They're not even eating breakfast, and they're like, you know, they think the carb load is the night before pasta, right? Like, do you titrate people up based on the context of who you're working with?
Right. Yeah. So one of my most popular master classes is on carb loading before race day. But, at that point, people are committed. They're committed to
Yeah.
feeling good during this race.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do what it takes. Part of it is if you're jumping from 125 grams of carbs to 450, you're not going to feel very good.
Yeah.
You're going to feel bloated. You're going to feel like your stomach heavy. Your body is going to be a shock to your body. So that's why trying to start this process earlier, making sure that you're getting enough carbs during training
Yeah.
is so important because one of the things I talk about is your stomach is a muscle. And so just like you train your legs to run 26.2 miles or 13.1 miles, you can train your stomach to be able to digest food, the carbs, food while you're running, all that.
When you talk to people, do you also cover outside of nutrition? Do you cover recovery? Do you talk to them at all about cross training? Do you talk to them at all about um, you know, more and more research comes out about long distance runners and some sort of resistance training, right? Sleep,
Mm-hmm.
without a doubt, hydration's got to be up like one of the top ones, right? What kind of conversations do you have considering those lifestyle or the other things outside of just nutrition or carb loading?
Right. I mean, training for a marathon is like a part-time job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You need more food. You have to sleep more, ideally. The strength training, like there's so many different factors. I mean, I do get a lot of questions of like, how does my nutrition look different? Or if I'm doing 2-a-days, you have a run and then strength in the afternoon.
yeah.
How does my nutrition look different
Mhm.
for strength training versus running? Um, you know, prioritizing sleep, but also, you have to get in the run too. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's definitely like that's the cool part about running is you learn so much about your body in the process.
Well, I mean, the mental side of it is probably like,
Yeah.
I'm sure a marathon when you're struggling and you're trying to break some PRs, I mean, to me, that can be some of the loneliest, most self-reflecting time you'll ever have is like, I need to put one foot in front of the other, even though my body's telling me to quit.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And the
Right.
cool thing about carbs is carbs helps your brain think more clearly because your
Okay.
brain runs off of 90%
Sure.
carbs.
Mhm.
Sure.
So you can imagine those negative thoughts coming even more or worse if you're underfueled, if you're depleted in carbs.
And I'd say too, I think a cool thing is as soon as you do have an influx of carbohydrates when you're under an intense training period, it's almost immediately noticed. Like I've
Mhm.
experienced that with myself, with my own clients. It's like, okay, eat 50 grams more of carbohydrates. It's like immediately, oh my God, I felt so much better in that run. And I felt like I was able to recover a lot better in that lifting session, whatever it was, but it's almost immediately noticed. So then people keep seeing like, oh, perfect. I know I can do this because I'm feeling a lot better as time goes on, or I'm feeling a lot better in my recovery, or I feel like I can do another long run this weekend, even though I just did one.
Yep, absolutely.
by the time people get to you, Kristy, I feel they're looking for that extra advantage. Like they've kind of given up like, hey, my knowledge has taken me as far as I can. They're probably pretty serious. This isn't just casual, let's go run a marathon here and there, or I got some running buddies and we're going to run. Like, I feel like those people aren't going to search for this. By the time they're coming to you, they're highly motivated people. Like, they're going to do what it takes,
Right. Yep.
right?
Yep.
What about, do you ever work with younger runners? Like, have you worked with high school, college runners before? Or are you mostly after that? Like competitive, like, hey, I'm a cross country runner for college and I need help, or high school. Has that been a market that's come to you?
On occasion, but I really, kind of market towards that it can be a new marathon runner. So they signed up for their first marathon. I want to be prepared. And so I'm going to do everything that I can to be prepared. And my nutrition is a big part of this. But then, yes, like you mentioned, also the experienced runner of like, I'm struggling with GI issues during a run. I get muscle cramps. I've hit the wall. Even on a day-to-day basis, I'm craving sweets at the end of the day and I can't stop eating the
All
pantry.
right, talk about that. Talk about that. What's people that come to you and say that? Where's that come from? What's the
Y-
cause of that?
Yep. So usually like not eating enough earlier in the day.
Blood
So,
sugar.
yep, blood sugar management where
Mhm.
it's or you're not eating around your run. You're not eating
Mhm.
anything before it or not enough during your long run. And then post run, you don't have much of an appetite and you don't want to eat anything. And then that's this post blood sugar management piece of like, now your body's like, hey,
Mm,
I'm so depleted that I'm
mhm.
going to eat anything, the biggest form of carbs that I can get to help me feel better, to restock those glycogen stores, to help me manage my blood sugar.
Do you find that there's a difference in habits between men and women when you're training them or working with them as far as like I know for Josh and I personally, a lot of the time we find that female clients are the ones that are like, "Oh, I'm not going to eat breakfast and I don't really eat as much before a workout." And I have some men that do that, but it's not as common.
I don't know. It kind of goes hand in hand, I would say,
Mhm,
because even, weight is such a very conscious thing that runners are
mhm,
aware of because it's a weight conscious sport.
mhm.
Mhm.
Because of that mentality of if I'm lighter, I'll run faster. Which is not always true. Um, so because I have men coming to me too of like, I'm afraid of eating. I'm afraid, eating too much, gaining weight.
Wow, that's interesting. I work with I've worked with a lot of wrestlers and people in grappling type environments. And there's very few populations I've ever worked with that have disordered eating like high school wrestlers.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
they're killing themselves. It's brutal, and that culture is starting to change from education, and coaches and medical people have now gotten involved
Nice.
because kids have hurting themselves, right? And there's this common feeling in that community that like, well, I competed at 160 last week, and I'm going to compete again in 2 weeks, but I think I can make 150 and be better. Well, no, that's not true. Like, that's not true. I don't know how many people have weight cut for a sport like wrestling, and they're worse. They feel worse. They
Mhm.
compete where you're better off just staying at the weight and feeling good. Because I feel kind of see like people see it like a NASCAR. So they're like, well, if the NASCAR's got 500 horsepower, if I make it lighter, then I should be able to be more efficient like a car. And I never really thought about it. And I understand you don't want to be a large person running a marathon. Like, I understand the ends of the spectrum. But you're telling me that, like, there are runners that just flat out say, "Hey, I need to lose 5 pounds, I'll run faster."
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Can you talk a little bit about, like, because that's a re-education for them, and we say unlearning with people sometimes.
Mhm.
Unlearning. We have to unlearn some certain things. Um Obviously, you have great credentials. You probably have people you've worked with, and you can hand them like, "Hey, this is 8 minutes off a marathon. They followed what I did. Do you want to do that?" yes, people want to do that, but there's some psychological battles you'll have with people, I imagine, where you go to a dude and who's running at 150 and he's fought really hard to be at 150 and you said, "Hey man, like you're under feeling, you probably need to gain a little bit to have more energy, maybe put on some body fat because at 155, 160 you could run better."
Hmm.
You can say that to people and they'll probably look at you and be like, "Okay." But like I imagine there's a psychological battle you fight with some people with that.
Yeah, so I've definitely like I definitely have people coming to me asking for weight loss. That's not something I do. I solely focus on performance nutrition. And it is it's not uncommon for people to gain weight during marathon training, which I know is complete opposite of what people think.
Yeah, yeah.
But, whether that's from, your body is storing more glycogen. When you store more glycogen, your body's retaining more water weight. During a carb load, if you do it right, you will gain weight. So
Yeah,
I tell people that up front, stay off the scale.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
usually, like people usually, might think they want to lose weight, but really it's that performance piece. They want to feel good. They want to perform their best. They want to, feel good during their training, during the race. Usually I can convince them that. And if, that's a screening process I go through. If it's
Yeah, good
not,
for you. Good for yeah,
then I refer
yeah,
out of like,
yeah.
I think this is more disordered eating.
Well, people
Sure.
probably assume I'm gonna go, "Hey, I'm gonna go call Kristy. She's gonna help me lose about 5 pounds, and I'm gonna run faster."
Yeah.
They assume that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna run a better marathon because Kristy's gonna help me with my diet, and I'm gonna lose 5 or 6 pounds, and I'm gonna run faster, and they come to that would probably come to you with that assumption
Hmm.
that she's a nutritionist, so she's probably gonna make me, leaner so I can be better.
Yeah.
And that man, I think that's probably something people combat with in this industry across the board,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Across the board.
With the mental health piece too, because I think this is really common with runners. How do you talk to them about the overtraining side? How you might have a runner that's like, all right, I just ran a marathon and I'm ready to sign up for my next one. And it's like a
Yeah.
month later. And I don't know really what the recovery time frame is for marathon to marathon, but I would assume there is a piece of overtraining that can occur. How do you talk to them about their nutrition and their recovery post their last marathon before they start their next one?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could argue like, is it overtraining? Is it underfueling? Like, I think, like you said, I think there can be a component of each. And there's definitely people who do 2 marathons in a month, or like, especially around the fall time when you want to
Hmm.
New York, or, some of those major ones, and plus a local one, for example. And, a running coach, I often refer them to the running coach for that training piece of it, because that is not my expertise. But, from a nutrition standpoint, it's like, s- let's make sure that you're fueling well during your training, and, you know, marketing and talking about like, you run the risk of injury. If you're trying to lose weight, kind of going back to that, you have to be in a calorie deficit. That's the opposite goal of performance. And so if you're in a calorie deficit, you risk injury. And so let's make sure that you're fueling properly during your training cycle, during your long run. Let's make sure you're getting that nutrition in afterwards. Like, the interesting thing about, if you do a proper carb load, you will be craving protein and veggies afterwards. You'll be like tired of looking at carbs. Like, yes, you still need to eat them after a marathon, but you know, your body isn't going to be craving them as much as maybe you once experienced post race. Um, but all that to say is like, yeah, nutrition is a huge piece of like, I think it's not just afterwards, it's how much you're feeling before and during your race that impacts your recovery
Or
more than anything.
Do
that
you
makes a
put
lot of
them in
sense.
Do you put in any of your clients into like a post carb load after the marathon as well? I know like that's a common thing too, is or I guess I've heard it is, you have to replenish what you deplete, right? So are we eating a certain amount post race? Is it a certain amount of days, or do you just get back to like, let's go back for balanced eating, just make sure you're getting enough food?
Right. I approach it as like, let's get back to balanced eating.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Um, because the carbs are so focused during that carb load and during
Yeah.
that, usually at that point, like it's gonna take time. It's not gonna happen within necessarily a couple days. Like, they often say it takes as many days as the miles you raced to
Hmm.
recover. So
Oh, wow.
I felt that.
Is that kind of a common thing?
I
The
felt that
number
for
of
sure.
the number of days versus the number of miles you race. So, I mean, it's almost a month to recover from a marathon, basically is
yeah,
what you're saying.
right.
Wow.
And so, I don't know like the studies behind that, but I just know that was that's what
No, but
people
it's just a common I mean, it's one of those little rule of thumbs, right?
right.
And it does manage the expectation for people.
Right.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
does manage the expectation. Do you uh I assume you have some people that come to you and they just want to start working with you 2 months before a race. And then they'll run the race and then they'll be done, or 3 months. But I assume you have people that are highly competitive enough that they're with you full time. Like, this is a full-time thing. Like, there's consistent and I understand that, like, I imagine really highly competitive marathon runners, one of the psychological pieces is you can't be in shape every day for every year all the time. Like, you can't just be marathon shape all the time.
Right.
You won't manage it. Do you adjust nutrition based off their running volume? And
Mhm.
do you do that monthly? Do you do it weekly? Do they, like, you say you work with a running coach? Do you communicate with that running coach? Or do they tell you, hey, my running coach this week has me at 50, 60 miles split up this way? Okay, then this is what your nutrition has to be like this week. The following week might be different. Do you tailor it to miles run?
Yeah. So, um, what I do is there's different performance plates that one people can use as a visual. I also like give specific macros like how many carbs, how much protein. And then it's really based on not so much mileage, but time and intensity because everyone's pace is different. But if you're out there for an hour, then your nutrition is going to change. And it doesn't really matter what your pace is. Like, yes, easy versus a harder workout is going to matter as well.
I like that. That makes sense to me. I
Yeah.
guess my brain thought, well, miles, but no, well, 50 miles for you a week,
It's going to look very different.
right? Yeah. 50 miles for me a week, we're probably like, all right, he's probably going to die at some point.
You
So,
need all the food.
like, we need all the food, all the nutrition, all the sleep. He's probably got shin splints and his hips hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to me. So I guess you take how advanced they are, right? How intense their running is going to be, and the time they're going to be out there, because one person running 50 miles a week and another person running 50 miles a week, the time spent on that can vary drastically
Yep.
how
Yep.
far they're out there.
Yep.
So you're looking at intensity and time. You're not looking at total miles because that's way subjective. Total miles is way subjective for all three of us here,
Hmm.
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I didn't think about
I
that.
never heard of
I
that
never thought
either.
of I never thought I think most people, if I went out and spoke to most people that ran, they probably wouldn't think that way.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I work with people for nutrition all the time, and I never thought about time and it makes me wonder, when I'm working with somebody who's in the strength industry that wants to get stronger, you know, their intensity in the gym during a workout and someone else's intensity could vary. Well, then their requirements are going to vary,
Mhm.
right? Their requirements are going to vary. Um, and for your people that are a year long, do you ever have like, hey man, this month I need you just to eat intuitively and feel good, and maybe you don't think about it for a month, right? Because psychologically, I don't do anything competitive outside of just trying to perform at my own personal level. Um, it would be really hard for me to just be like, hey, just wing it for a month. I bet you work with people like, no, you don't understand. I that's not how I work. I don't do anything winging. They're type A. they're high intense, they're moving forward. Everything has to be improvement every day, every day, every day, every day. And then their nutrition coach comes in and says, hey, pump the brakes for the month of December.
Yeah. Well, well, here's the thing. I probably incorporate that almost mentality of like, I still want you to enjoy your favorite foods. I
Mhm.
want you to still know, like, tune into your body. Like, there are going to be times where you need to eat when you don't feel like it after a
Mhm.
long run when you don't have an appetite. But I also want you, if you're craving carbs at the end of the day or craving more, like, yes, let's look at what you're eating, but let's lean into that of like, your body's trying to tell you something. Like,
Yeah,
you
sure.
probably
Mhm.
didn't have enough carbs, even though maybe you hit the numbers. Like, let's lean into that and let's make sure that we're, you know, our meals are balanced. We're getting fiber, we're getting protein, but also getting those carbs as well and taking a big picture approach to it.
Yeah, because you're
Right.
dealing with people that know they know these people, these high performance runners, they know when they're pushing the brink of like, I'm too much. This is too much. I'm under eating. I'm not doing it. My
Mhm.
runs aren't looking great. They know their body enough, or just a general person might not even like, if we tell people to listen to their body and eat intuitively, they're like, "Pfft, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
gallon ice cream last night, intuitively, a whole pizza,
When
right?
I
Yeah.
what I experience too a lot of the time with those higher performing individuals is they're not only high performing in their sport, they're very high performing in life in general. So they're going out for walks and they're doing really active things, or they're up at work, they have a standing desk, they're on a walking, like they're just doing a lot. So they'll forget about that sometimes too. And I don't know if you experience this. It's like you're a runner, plus you are keeping up with a lot of daily activities in your life. So we also have to remember to fuel for that. Do you
Yeah.
see that too?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's like a high performing mindset. I feel like it's just a very common thing. I'm like, sometimes you need to slow down.
Yeah, I don't think people who are high performance marathon runners who are out there running, I mean, can you give us some crazy times of marathon runners that you're working with? Like, do you know off the rip?
I mean, the fastest was so I work with somebody who qualified for the Olympic trials. That was the
Okay,
fastest.
okay. So give
But
me a break, right?
usually,
Wow.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
that's
say
so
that
awesome.
I would say a lot of my runners are 4 hours, 5 hours, even 6
Okay.
hours. I mean,
Okay,
it varies. I also have, like, those going for sub 3.
Yeah.
flying man.
It's
What was
so
the
crazy.
what was the Olympic qualifier like working with?
Oh, what was it like?
Yeah.
It was tricky because there was a lot of obsessive behaviors.
Okay, but
Yeah.
you got to think most people at that level, most people who compete at that high level, if you brought in a therapist, they'd be like, "Man, something's wrong with that dude," right? Like, because you have to be borderline dysfunctional a little bit at that level, don't you? There's got to be a little bit of
There's, probably I don't know. No, I think everyone's different.
yeah.
Type
Okay,
A, you
type
know,
A, yeah,
you thrive off of running and the runner's high and
Mhm.
adrenaline junkie, a little
yeah,
bit of an adrenaline junkie, right?
yeah.
I have a lot of people that I know people that work in like the fighting industry, the mixed martial arts, and those people always, when it's over, they have to go find something that gives them the same thing because their body doesn't do it anymore. You know, they got
Mhm.
married, they have kids. They're like, you know, their wife's like, hey, I'm not gonna, it's not worth you getting punched in the face, even if you're getting paid for it anymore. Like, I'm not watching it. And those people always gravitate towards something else. It's almost like that level of adrenaline, it obviously becomes a drug, right?
Yeah. Well,
I
I was gonna
imagine
say no, sorry, go
those,
ahead.
I imagine those type of runners that Olympic, I bet there is, man, and you dealt with, there's disordered behavior. That's
Mhm.
interesting to me,
Mhm.
right? Isn't that, and it was hard for you probably as almost from an ethical standpoint of like, man, this is pretty hard for me
Right.
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there's some uncomfortable things for me here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then it becomes a point of like, I think I can't help you. I can't best support you. We gotta
Right.
figure out.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to be, Christy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
That's
I definitely have gotten good at screening and the way I talk about things on social media. Um, I used to market more like that food freedom, intuitive eating, but now really focus on that performance. And the cool thing is, like, some people are so driven on the performance piece that they're willing to do anything. And if they're willing to eat more carbs and it's going to help them, like that can help them overcome their disordered patterns
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
bet your screening process, like you talked about, has to be very. You're probably you're probably doing stuff in your intake and your screening process, weeding things out that they don't even realize what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this. I even know if I get a long email describing everything, it's going to be,
That's gonna be work. Yeah.
it's probably not going to be the best fit.
And then I bet you'll get somebody that emails into you is like, "Hey, I want to work with you. Let me lay out my whole last year." And you're like, "Whoa, dude, we got
I haven't asked yet.
this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work, buddy, right? Like this ain't gonna work. There might be some things there." And tell me, give me your favorite success story. Like this person came to me with these issues. This is what we did, and this is what resulted. I know you have that.
Yeah, yeah, there's so many. Honestly, sometimes it's oh gosh, it's like which one do I pick?
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing is like when yes, I had this long time athlete that I worked with, and we again, she was very focused on performance and overcame, afraid of eating ice cream with her friends. And,
Mhm.
this was when I first started out, and she overcame those food fears. And then a couple years later, she came back to me and was struggling with GI issues during her run, kind of falling back into the old habits of eating, in her case, a lot of fruits and vegetables at meals, way too much fiber, low calorie, low energy availability, which were big issues in her GI issues. So the cool thing, Gray, like you mentioned, is like just by a couple of changes, like with running, you notice the changes right away. So,
Mhm.
the GI issues were gone.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it makes you feel good as a coach too, because those symptoms are debilitating during their activity, but in everyday life too. So if, I'm sure that she started sleeping a little bit better. And because she was
Yes.
sleeping a little bit better, her mood was better. And then her runs were better. And so you just start to see this huge cyclical action based on, okay, we're going to replace strawberries with Pop Tarts.
Yeah, that was interesting. I did go through your content, and there was a ton of content about GI issues.
Mhm.
Yes.
And when I first looked at it, I'm like, yeah, there's GI issues. Their body's in shock because they're running a marathon. They're in shock. Yeah, that's the central nervous system telling them to stop. They're shut down. Like they went fight or flight. They
Yeah.
went fight or flight at mile 21, and of course everybody feels that, right? But when but then I didn't, just the demands. I guess I never really thought of, oh my gosh, you're probably dealing with people that have GI issues during their run, and that's directly related to nutrition. Having this conversation, I'm like, oh, and I was shocked to see it. I was shocked to see a lot of your content around GI issues, which means there's a lot of people out there that are not eating correctly, right? Because we always
Mhm.
say like, oh, just eat healthy.
Right.
Right.
If we just eat healthy, and then they're like, yeah, because like you said, lentil pasta, healthy,
Mhm.
right? High fiber foods, pretty good for your blood sugar, pretty healthy. Well, the context is you got a 15 miles the next day. Probably gonna end up in the bushes,
Yeah.
right? Right? You're probably gonna end up in the bushes. What is what do you still focus on your own marathon and your own running? Like, is that still a focus on you, or is it just like so much of my energy's on other people? Mine
Yeah.
is less. What about your own training?
Yeah, currently it's definitely focused on other people right now. Was it 3 years ago or maybe four now? I ran sub 3 hour marathon. It's like one of those things I hit it and I was like, okay, I did it. Now
Where did
I
you
get
run
to
that at?
chill. CIM, Sacramento, California.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I think my
cool.
my dad my dad always had my dad ran the Twin Cities Marathon before. If
But
you
yeah,
yeah,
I love that one. I
I
ran that
remember
one.
that. What time of year is that?
Beginning of December.
That's cold.
Oh my
It's
God, talk
ideal
about.
running temperature.
I
Is
like
it
to run in the
really?
cold
Is
too.
it really for you? What's ideal? Okay, what is ideal running temperature?
Low 50s, mid low 50s.
And the Boston's
Mhm.
in April,
Yep.
right? And it's usually like rainy, like ugh.
Hit
Boston
or miss
too.
can be hot, can be
Yeah.
rainy.
Oh, is Boston a mix?
Well, I also say that coming from Minnesota, so training in the
Yeah,
winter
yeah,
at
yeah,
70
yeah,
degrees, and that's hot.
yeah. I
Yeah.
imagine if Charleston, South Carolina,
We
ever had
have
a.
they are
Do they have a
here. Like,
marathon?
yeah, they
Do they
well,
have Charleston, South Carolina?
I
Yeah.
don't know if there's definitely a full, there's gotta be, but I know that the bridge run is always at the end of March, which is only a 10K, but still it's like by the end of March in Charleston here, you're sweating just walking outside a lot of the
Yeah,
time. So it's
it's a
just
hot box.
brutal. When I did the virtual Boston Marathon in 2021 with a client. It was her 50th birthday wish, and I was like, "Okay, I'll do it with you." So my training was like May to October, and it was miserable, like running 15 miles in August. I was like, "I'm done with this.
Yeah,
I don't wanna do this anymore." Like, I am drenched head to toe.
and
It's brutal.
that's got to be a focus. If somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to run the this marathon in Minnesota in December," that's a different concept. Than some like. Remember when we had the Mexico City Olympics,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Yeah, it's the Mexico City Olympics, and it's the marathon day." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, the Mexico City Olympics, the marathon! Like I hope the ambulance is around." Like that's let alone walking downtown Mexico City. Well, first off, like the smog's really bad. I think they said in Mexico City, but like in August, Mexico City Marathon, and it's 90.
Yeah.
That has to be something you talk about too. Is it? Do you talk about the gotta talk about the weather and where you're running it and what
Oh, yeah.
nutrition is like? And
Yep, for
I mean,
sure, and how to adjust your nutrition if it's gonna be warm on race day.
yeah, I bet that's minutia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is
That's the
it a difference in carb loading if it's warmer outside just because you're sweating more?
We don't I don't usually, like, address the carb load piece, although your body burns through more carbs when it's warm
Mhm,
out.
mhm.
It's more so the hydration piece and the electrolytes.
Yes.
ooh,
Yeah.
I mean,
because the
so
consequence to that is
yes, the worst thing somebody can do is just chug water. Like, that's
Right,
when you're risking hyponatremia.
right.
Like, low.
I had, someone used to say to me, and this was probably around the time that I was marathon training, that if you're if you wanna hydrate, honestly, you should just grab a beer instead of water because 'cause you're gonna get more carbohydrates with the beer.
yeah, yeah.
Which
How
I
do
always
you
thought was so
determine? How do
funny.
you determine electrolyte load through the weather changes?
So it's more so a factor of, like, an individual's sweat composition, how
Mhm,
much they sweat, it's all based on your genetics.
mhm. That's
So
tricky.
yep. I have, like, general guidelines, like, really, it can vary at minimum, people need 300 milligrams of sodium in an hour, but it can go up to over 1,000, really depends on the person, and then the weather.
That's trial and error.
Trial and error, there are monitors out there that can be helpful if people are
Really?
this person and they have struggled or just wanna know. There's sweat rate monitors that you can wear on every single run, and you can see how your sweat how much you sweat and how much sodium loss and electrolyte loss changes.
So
Tricky.
one thing I think, because what I'm hearing is, like, there is a lot that goes into preparing what you're carrying for a marathon.
Yes.
So then how do you talk about, "How do I fit all of this in, like, a belt?" Or, "Do I need to carry a backpack?" Like, how do I manage that? Because then I'm carrying
Yeah.
extra weight.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I never thought. Alright, tell me this. You got a person that's okay, what did you bring on the when you ran your 3 sub 3 hour?
So I had a handheld, um, and then I had gels in my handheld. There was a pocket, and then I had like shorts with big pockets in where I put all my gels, or like sometimes there's sports bras with pockets.
Yeah.
So I like stuff them all around me and carry
How many
them.
gels did you carry?
7.
Okay, that's it. Was that your only take? You had to carry a water bottle and
Carry
7
my water
gels.
bottle, and then, this is the logistics are the hardest part. What I did, which I don't necessarily recommend, when I approach a water station, I would take off the cap of my bottle, stick it in my sports bra, and then grab cups as I ran through the water stations and dumped as many cups as I could into my water bottle and put the cap back on and keep running, and I had to do that quite a bit.
Jeez.
Yes,
And one
that's
time I dropped the calf too.
So you ran.
it's so
So
much.
I'm doing the math again. You ran sub 7-minute miles,
Yeah, you have to run like 650.
650 splits.
Yep. Because you run
That's
over 26.2 miles.
Mhm,
that's flying. I mean, that's
mhm.
so. Did you know that your body was prepared and ready to do that? Were you like, I think I'm really ready to run it. Like my nutrition is right, my miles are right, mentally I'm right. I've ran other marathons around that. I know this marathon I'm ready to do it. Or did you just look up and be like, holy crap, I'm about to run a sub 3? Or did you
No,
know you were ready?
I was hopeful. I actually trained with a sub 3 group. And so specifically, like, that's what the whole group and coaching was designed for. So I
Okay.
was hopeful. I didn't know I was like 4 seconds off of not breaking 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding?
And I was
Are
like,
you
oh, good. I'm glad I broke it. I thought it was fine. I thought I had more time than that. But
Did you
You
really?
still
You
did
thought you
it.
were good, and you
yeah, I
did
thought
it, but when you crossed and looked at the line, you're like, "Oh my gosh, that was a little too close for comfort." Like that was that was a little too close. Like, like, like. I mean, were you dead set to like if you didn't run a sub 3, were you like, I'm going the soonest one. We're running a sub 3.
yeah, I was gonna
Yeah,
go again.
I love that. I love that. Good for you.
But now
Good
you're
for you.
inspiring me. I wanna train again to run sub 3.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, 650 is moving.
Yeah.
Is
Cheers.
moving. Um, your sister runs too?
Yes.
Anybody else in the family, or is just you two are the only crazy people?
Just us two, and we get kind of competitive.
And okay, I like that.
That's
Yeah, that's good
great.
for you. Because
Yeah.
there's got to be a genetic. Is there a genetic? Do you think there's a genetic component? Obviously, there's people in the Olympics who are running 2:11s, and people like, is that the record? Is the record 2:11? Or is it like 2:06? Somewhere? Yeah, something like that. It's only because I got interested in when you were talking. I started Googling stuff, and I'm like, holy cow! There's obviously a genetic component. Do you think? Do you think there's a genetic component to being able to run under a 3? Like, do you think like you have to have a certain genetic makeup to run sub 3?
I think, I mean, I think of like slow twitch muscles. Like,
Sure.
I feel
Mhm.
like from an early age, those were more present than fast
And
twitch muscles
yeah.
for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I am a 100% this is why we're like I'm 100% a fast twitch person.
Yeah.
I've always been twitchy. So long distance running for me, even when I tried to do it with my dad or running when I was a kid, I'm like, this is like my body's not made for this at all. Like I'd hurt. Like there's pain, like physical hurt, not like joints and things like that would hurt, right? Not just like cardiovascular makeup. But
Yeah.
it's interesting to start looking at some of the have you ever read The Sports Gene?
No, I
You read The
haven't.
Sports Gene? So it's a guy that talked about it's nature versus nurture is basically what they're talking about. And the idea is like why certain areas of Kenya had all those runners.
Mm.
Like if Wayne Gretzky didn't grow up in Canada, but he grew up in San Diego, would he still be Wayne Gretzky?
Mhm.
Right? Like what's the environment play in your genetic? And they talked about like the genetic factors of people who are like they said Lance Armstrong, when he actually bent over the bar, his lungs expanded
Oh,
genetically. So like they talked about long distance runners and like what genetically why they were predestined to be able to run like that. That's always been interesting to me,
right.
a concept to me. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
This is very educational
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
very the niche behind it is so interesting to me. I mean, you had me at 450 carbs. As soon as you said 450 early on, I'm like, I am all in on this conversation because that blows my mind.
Yeah.
Strictly because I know there is somebody you sent an email to and said, well, you're going to have to figure out 450 carbs a day. And they went like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
don't
just for
even know what that looks like.
125 pounds.
Yes,
Like,
that's just a
I'm
125 pound
150.
girl.
I don't want to.
Yes,
eat
Gray.
those
Like
carbs.
the carb load on that is incredible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. We really
Yes.
appreciate you taking the time to come on. It's been
Absolutely.
very informative. Do you do a lot of podcasts? Do people ask you quite a bit to do? Yeah.
I'd say like one a month or one every 2 months.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think this is
Yeah.
awesome. I hope you get more. I said this is very educational. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Yeah,
Can you
you're
tell
welcome.
people where to find you before we log
Yes,
off?
absolutely. Please do.
Yeah, so on Instagram, that's where I'm most active, marathon.nutritionist. Come say hi. Let me know if you listen to this podcast episode.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.